Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video, we are going to break down 13 things that all first-time visitors here at Universal Orlando must do. Now, we spent a little bit of time putting together some of the most popular questions, some of the best, kind of basic tips and tricks for first-time visitors here at Universal. And if you've been watching our videos, you most likely already know that at some point I am probably going to talk about early park admission. But I'm really excited for this video. Let's go get started. Alright, so tip number one for first-time visitors coming to Universal Orlando, and we would say make sure to make a ride priority list specifically before you even get to the turnstiles right behind me. Now, one of the reasons why this is so important is because Universal Orlando is definitely a different beast when comparing it to Walt Disney World, but specifically when coming with young kids, you definitely want to have a game plan. We would say make sure that you figure out how tall the kids are, take a look at some of the height requirements here at the rides, just so you know, like, hey, these are the rides that we're planning to go on, these are the rides we know we can go on. And this is not just important for the kids, but also adults visiting Universal, families visiting Universal. We just find that it's so much more important, and you have so much of a better day in the parks when you have a game plan, when you have a park plan or itinerary, knowing, hey, this is where we're going first, we're going to Hagrid's, going to Velocicoaster second. We just find that your day will run so much smoother. And if you need some help, go check out our park plan page. You can email me Mike at theparkprodigy.com, and we'll send you some free park plans just to get you started. But that's tip number one. All right, so tip number two of things first-timers should be doing here at Universal Orlando, and we would say skip renting a car, specifically if you are staying at a Universal Orlando property. Now, as you can see behind me, or as you might be able to see behind me, we got some boats. With a Universal Orlando property, there comes free transportation. Now, this will allow you to avoid not only spending money to rent the car, but on parking as well. So parking at the Universal Orlando hotels is going to be $15 a night at the time of this recording, and then over at Universal City Walk, it is going to be $27 per day at the time of this recording to park your car. So as you can see, if you are planning to stay at a Universal hotel, and if you're planning to spend a lot of times in the Universal Orlando parks or over at City Walk where we are right now, take advantage of the free transportation, specifically the shuttle buses to and from your hotel. We have the boats right behind me, and then Universal has some great walking paths for a majority of the hotels if that's what you're into as well. But that's tip number two for the first timers. And so tip number three for all my first time visitors here at Universal Orlando, and we would say make sure to budget, but more importantly, make sure to budget everything, and we mean absolutely everything. So you'll see there are a couple little things that pop up. Specifically, we're talking about make sure you budget for food inside the parks, make sure you take a look at stroller rentals, the prices for stroller rentals if that's something that you do need, locker rentals. If you're going over to Volcano Bay, you also need to pay attention to some towel rentals, right? Some of the other things that come to mind, maybe sunglasses for the parks, ponchos, of course. If you're visiting in the summer, you're gonna need a poncho. Budget that in or bring them from home, save a couple bucks. And then last but not least, merchandise. Now, Universal Orlando is known for its merchandise, not only, the great nostalgia items that I might have on, but also during the Halloween events, right? Halloween Horror Nights has amazing merchandise, Mardi Gras, Christmas, Harry Potter, wands, robes. Well, I don't know what else I'm missing. All I would say is make sure that you do budget, make sure you budget everything, and you'll be as prepared as possible. So tip number four for all my first-time visitors here to Universal Orlando, we would say give yourself plenty of time to get over to the theme parks. Now, this is going to be true for both coming from the hotel and then also coming from the parking lots, but specifically because, if you're parking over at City Walk, there is going to be extra security, and there is going to be a walk from the garage, from the parking garage, over to the parks. Now, that's the same thing if you're coming from the hotels, especially if you're walking from the hotels. Either way you look at it, you are going to have to go through security for everyone's safety, which we love, but give yourself some extra time just to make sure that if you are coming specifically for the early morning hours, maybe early park admission, maybe we'll talk about it in a little bit, that you do have a chance to show up on time and you are some of the first guests into the park. So that's tip number four. All right, so tip number five for things first-time visitors here at Universal Orlando must do. And for this one, I'm kind of letting the sun hit me a little bit. It's pretty early. It's about 8:15 in the morning, and as you can see, the sun is already out in full force. Here in Florida, it gets extremely hot, if you did not know. One of the main reasons why we're adding this to the list is we want to just remind everyone at home to stay hydrated when you're here in the parks. Now, I used to work for Disney. When I worked for Disney inside the parks, they recommended one 12-ounce bottle of water for every hour inside the parks. Now, I'm not the a doctor. This is not like, you know, health advice. I just want to make sure that my lawyers at home are happy. I don't have lawyers at home. But I just want to make sure I do the right thing with this part of the video. Just stay hydrated. Drink as much water as possible. Also, bring some stuff that might help, like some fans from home. Bring the, you know, the cooling towels that you can throw on your neck just to make sure that you stay cool. You know, some of the other things, sunglasses, hats, like, you know, anything that you think will help you stay healthy and safe inside the parks in the Florida heat. Just make sure you do, and most importantly, don't forget to drink water. Bring a reusable water bottle if you have one. Just make sure you grab some free water throughout the day in the parks. But that's tip number 5, a long way to say stay hydrated. Number 6 of things first-time visitors must do when visiting Universal Orlando, and we would say get familiar with all the added benefits that Universal has over at the park, specifically for the rides. Now we're talking about the single rider line. Single rider line, just like it sounds, one guest can go and jump onto a shorter line. Essentially, you won't be able to ride with your party, right? However, you will be able to get onto the rides faster. So if your group is okay, or hey, maybe just one of the kids wants to jump onto one of the coasters real quick, take advantage of the single rider lines when and if possible. The next would be the child swap. So again, just like it sounds, Universal has specific areas where if you're a large family and let's say one of the smaller kids can't go on a ride, you could still wait in line as a family, and then, you know, one parent can hang out with the young child, then get off. The next parent can go on the ride and enjoy it, so everyone gets a chance to ride. And then last but not least, Universal hasn't been doing them in a while, but the virtual queues. Keep an eye out for the virtual queues, because if they do come back, it can be a great way to get on rides a little bit quicker. All right, so tip number 7 on the things that first-time visitors should do here at Universal Orlando, and we would say make sure that you plan to spend at least one day in each Universal Orlando park. Now, as you can see, we've been jumping around. There's a lot of backgrounds and you know, going on behind me. There's a lot going on here at Universal Orlando, but specifically for first-time visitors, you're going to see that it could be a little overwhelming, especially when you're trying to get on all of the rides, all your favorite rides. That's why we kind of said, hey, make sure you have a game plan, but specifically make sure that you kind of give yourself enough time once you get over to the parks. Now, we find there's 3 Universal Orlando parks. It's kind of best to give yourself one day at each park, so that way you're not rushed. Hey, from a new vacation standpoint, you might want to give yourself an extra day to hang out back at the hotels. Give yourself 4 days. We have a video on how many days you should spend at Universal. I'll leave a link down below, but that is tip number 7. All right, so number 8 on the list of things first-time visitors here at Universal should do, and we would say give some thought to the time of year that you're visiting. Now, this is first and foremost most important for crowds, right? You want to give some thought to, okay, when is Universal going to be least crowded, right? So you can plan around the crowds, get on more rides, so that's very, very important. We typically find that it's January, February, the end of August, and September are the best months when trying to avoid the crowds. A lot of people are coming back from school breaks, right? Especially January, February, end of August, September. Not only from a crowd standpoint, but from a special event standpoint. As you can see behind me, there's something going on, and Universal might or might not be setting up for Halloween Horror Nights. Give some thought to the special events going on at Universal. Do you want to come in, you know, early winter when Mardi Gras is going on? Do you want to come in the fall when Halloween Horror Nights is going on? Or do you want to wait until Christmas when they have some amazing Christmas stuff going on inside the parks? It's something very, very important. Give some thought to the time of year that you want to visit. All right, so tip number 9 for all my first-time visitors here at Universal Orlando, and we would say make sure that you buy your tickets ahead of time. Now, we've spoken about this a few times on our videos, and we really think that it's such an important part of your vacation, but not only because you'll always save money when buying your tickets in advance. It doesn't matter who you buy your tickets from as opposed to the park gates. It's especially true for those one-day tickets. However, on the flip side, and what I think is really most important, is you're going to save time when you get to the parks. You're not going to have to wait in line to buy your tickets. You're not going to have to, another thing is you're not going to have to figure out what type of ticket you need, and that's all part of, you know, planning and being prepared and coming with a game plan, is just having everything lined up. Specifically in this case, we are saying pay a little bit of attention and have your tickets purchased beforehand, not to mention that you might get some amazing benefits from companies just like us at the Park Prodigy. Okay, so tip number 10 for first-time visitors coming to Universal Orlando, and we would say make sure you download the Universal Orlando app. Now, the Universal Orlando app is your one-stop guide for everything Universal Orlando, but specifically in this case, you'll want to make sure to have it just to get familiar with it, to download it before you get down here. But also, the Universal Orlando app has all of the up-to-date wait times as you're trying to, you know, now you created your park plan, you know what ride you want to go on, stay up to date with the latest wait times on the app. Has mobile ordering, it has the park hours, has all the show times here in the park parks. It's just a really, really useful tool that Universal has built for all of us visiting the parks. So again, we want to make sure that you're aware of it and you know that you should download it before you come down. Okay, so tip number 11 for first-time visitors here at Universal, and we would say make sure to double check the park hours. Now, you might think that, hey, you check the park hours a couple months in advance, a couple weeks in advance, and those are the hours, but Universal Orlando can, and they might change some of the park hours as you get closer to your visit. So we always think it's a good idea just to double check, like, hey, as you really get closer, the upcoming week, upcoming days, just to make sure that everything you saw originally was, is the park hours now as you get to the parks. Another reason why this is so important, especially during the special event times of year, specifically over at Universal Studios Florida, which is right behind me, during Halloween Horror Nights, Universal Studios Florida might close a little bit earlier, right around 5 o'clock, right? So in that situation, you want to make sure that you definitely show up early so you get the most out of your day. And then not only that, kind of tying it to the tickets, picking the right fit ticket. If you have a base ticket, you might find like, hey, Islands of Adventure might be open a little bit later one day, Universal might be open a little bit later, Universal Studios Florida might be open a little bit later another day. So in that situation, right, you could kind of game plan and try to get more time in the park, since you only have the one park per day ticket, as opposed to the park-to-park ticket, where you could pretty much, if you're at one park and it's closing, you can hop over to the other park if it's staying open a little bit later. But just another tip, make sure you check the park hours before you come down. You could check them on the official Universal Orlando website, or you could check them on the official Universal Orlando app, or we actually also have them on our Orlando crowd calendar. Number 12 for first-time visitors here at Universal Orlando, and we would say visit Voodoo Doughnuts. Now, if you're anything like me, the first time you come down to Universal Orlando, you get to see everyone walking around with these pink boxes. Let me save you the aggravation. I'll tell you exactly where those pink boxes are from. They are from right behind me at Voodoo Doughnuts. Not only that, but they are going to be filled with donuts inside those pink boxes. Now, Voodoo Doughnuts is one of 6 locations in the entire world, and the donuts are so amazing. One of the other cool things is they have some themed donuts, right? You can actually get a voodoo doll donut at the store right behind me. They're really, really good. You could see they're open for breakfast. You could stop in, get some donuts for breakfast, or stop by late at night, get some donuts in the pink boxes to bring back to the room. But all in all, we just think it's something that's iconic, specifically here for Universal Orlando. We think that it's something first-timers should definitely try. A little tip and trick, you can actually mobile order the Voodoo Doughnuts. The line can get pretty long, especially in the middle of the day, late at night, so definitely take advantage of the mobile ordering. Okay, so tip number 13 that all first-time visitors coming to Universal Orlando must do, and we would say make sure that you visit the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Taking it one step further, make sure you visit the Wizarding World of Harry Potter using early park admission. Now, as you can see behind me, I am over at Diagon Alley, and there's essentially no one here because we got up really early and we showed up for early park admission. There's a lot of folks and families going on to Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. I am decided to take my time to make this video for you all at home. But very simply, we talk about early park admission constantly, and more importantly for the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, that's really what the early park admission is. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter has some of the most popular rides, right? So not only do you want to make sure that you get on the rides with the least wait time as possible, but listen, if you can't do early park admission, then still come. It's going to be amazing. They did such a good job with the theming. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you're going to absolutely love it. If you're not a Harry Potter fan, you're still going to absolutely love it. It's just a lot of fun and something that we think first timers definitely have to do. And again, in my opinion, it is best kind of combined with early park admission, which is included with all of the Universal Orlando tickets at theparkprodigy.com. Okay, so there you have it, guys. Those are the 13 best tips and tricks for first-time visitors coming to Universal Orlando. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on in the parks. I could have made this video a lot longer. We'll probably make a couple other videos just like this, some of the other tips and tricks that we have picked up along the ways, but that's where we're getting started. I really, really hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that you're excited for your Universal Orlando trip, and if you are in the process of planning a little additional help, be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. We do have a bunch of free vacation planning tools. We have some of those park plans that we discussed. We have some tickets that come with early park admission. Essentially everything you need to be as prepared as possible for your next Universal Orlando trip. I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys again so much for checking out this video. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.